Hey, good morning, everyone. Not much happening here, markets wise, anyway. Let's check it out. Well, yesterday was a bit of a correction day, a little bit, not that big a deal. And there's our spiders, and they're gapping up more than halfway into yesterday's range. It's a start, more of a continued consolidation after the run up into resistance. Even though yesterday was a gap and a little bit of a crap kind of situation, we'll sell off from there. From a larger time frame perspective, it's just going sideways up at resistance. Um, Kind of whippy, up and down, up and down. One second. Um, yeah, so gapping up, as I said, halfway, just kind of an eyeballing of a retracement as to the significance of the open, and better than, I suppose, gapping down if you're looking for the bullish point of view and this to break out to new all-time highs. Um, it's just, as I said, sideways at resistance, and we're waiting for something of significance to happen on the daily time frame to support belief that it's going to go higher, or more bearish significance that it's going to go lower. So it's kind of just a waiting period, waiting situation, see what unfolds. And from a daily time frame, there's nothing to do. And on the weekly time frame, if you're trading the weekly chart, there's been nothing to do for over a month. There's right, markets are just chopping back and forth here. The S&Ps anyway. Um, so just running in place. Go to SPX, may as well. Um, Strikes came down a little bit. Um, Not much. I think this was at 7,010 yesterday. So down a little bit. It's gapping up here. If the markets are going to go higher, that would be real easy to hit today, uh, to get to the downside. And generally, if you're going to do spreads, zero DTE spreads on indices, honestly, the put side has been the no-brainer. Uh, this markets just hold up unless you just get a bad day or so where things plummet. But when they plummet or whether they go up really fast, these outside strikes move very far apart. So we always look at what could stop prices from going to one or the other. And there isn't a lot to stop it from going up there other than yesterday's high. Uh, However, to get to the downside, which we look at this and say, you know what, that's a no-brainer. It's not going there, because it would have to get through. It's gapping up halfway into that bar. It would have to get through yesterday's low. You would have to get through 6,900 and then head down toward the lowest strike. And that is all within the context of a bullish wide range bar coming off of major support. So with relative confidence, I can say it isn't going down there today, not unless some tweet comes out that makes everybody, you know, scream fire. So, um, and even if there is any more of a sell off today, 6,900 has just been that point in time, or point on the S&P, that it gets pulled back to time and time again. So keep an eye on that, even if we do get some kind of selling today. Um, First of all, if we did and it came down to yesterday's low, I'd be looking for buyers to step up there. Um, but since it's gapping up there, just there's a pivot, and you can see on a 65-minute chart. So um, up at the high, we'll just see how it reacts. Since it had this strong move, uh, if it can get through yesterday's high, or it can get up to yesterday's high, then we just look for some consolidation or bullish price pattern that could suggest it going higher. like an aircraft carrier to deploy to the Middle East. Well, see what happens. From the news that I heard, I guess a week ago, I didn't pay too much attention to it. Um, there's a relatively big transition there, as to who's going to be running the country. And so it may sound like a good thing, but I guess he's got to show some force, rattle the sword, so to speak. All right. IWM, where is that? Gapping more than halfway into yesterday's reversal bar. So more running in place, up at resistance. We watch to see how it reacts up there and then decide what we're going to do as far as trading these. I still got the software ETF over there. And with yesterday's reversal day, this climactic buy setup didn't get very far. For short-term traders, for one day or the second day, if you took the money, that's very okay trade. It's a counter trend trade. Sometimes these type of setups go a lot further than what this one did. But if this could do a retest and reversal down here, that would be ideal for what could be a much larger move. And if this was to come down here, as we do every morning, these different indices, and sometimes look at different sectors. If this was to come down here and we were to see the broader market indices, IWM, the Qs, S&Ps, holding these levels, give or take, showing relative strength, while this came down to do a retest, and then these would start to turn higher, we definitely would come back here. I mean, put spreads would be just a no-brainer. Of course, we'd look at individual candles bar by bar to see what shaped up. But from a directional point of view, it could certainly be a time to buy this with a bias of a larger directional move. And so you could do a debit spread or buy calls or just buy the underlying, of course, and looking for a larger move. So looking out further than today, what may play out into the beginning of next week, if that type of pattern was to form, that would be a pretty nice trade setup. So we'll see how that plays out. All right, Qs are, what I've sometimes called the kill zone. And earlier in the week, it's like, okay, this is where it should come up to, where sellers are going to reemerge, and they're coming in early. So, there was the red bar, and then it tried to move up yesterday, the gap up, which got sold into. So sellers are more aggressive or thinking, hey, I want to get out of this thing. This, you look at a pattern like this where it broke out and then it goes all the way back down. This is like, dealing with somebody that's insane. So thinking would be, let me get out of this thing. Yeah, I could get up to those converging moving averages in this cluster of bars, but maybe it won't. So let me sell ahead of others that are looking at that. And so when we see patterns develop in front of what we'd be looking at as a more obvious location, we say, okay, sellers are, want to get out early, more aggressive. But today, it's gapping up near the top of the red bar. So the question becomes, can it hold on to that gap up, or does it get sold into again? So as we look at patterns, this is generalization, patterns form in different ways. But when we look at price patterns, one of the things that we look for are turns, ideally with 3 bars. So this was an up bar, and if today is a down bar, we'll see what it is. But if it can't advance after 3 days and it begins to build a topping pattern on the 65-minute, the clustering of bars or grouping of bars creates another level of overhead resistance. So coming down here, this was the obvious overhead resistance. And after 3 days, give or take, begins to build a lower area of resistance that increases the probability of going down. We don't have that yet. We don't have any kind of a pattern yet. This pattern, prior to today, gapped up. When we have a strong move, 1 or 2 bars like that, and you get one reversal bar, trading underneath it as a swing is lower odds. Now, unless you give it a whole big stop, I just found that those are lower odds setups. Okay, other markets. I looked at IWM, S&Ps. Let's look at silver at the top. That's doing nothing, just trading sideways over there. Gold, kind of a grinder, it's kind of inching its way up. A higher high, higher low bars. Today's an inside bar, more indecision. You can see the sideways chop there. There's nothing going on. Oil, you can see, is down a little bit. That's just marking time. Traders, institutions are just waiting for some other information. There's nothing much is moving, market wise. Bitcoin is pulling back. This could be a retest and reversal pattern. It's just doing it very, very slowly. After this climactic move and reversal, we look at patterns as through the eyes of what is others thinking, the psychology of the pattern. And so if I was a long-term Bitcoin holder, I'd be thinking, okay, this is going to be my turning point. I'm in hope mode that it's going to hold here. And those that want to sell, they're just not too aggressive at this point. So what we would be looking for in the coming days, ideally, from the long point of view, would be one of those reversal patterns, retest and reversal, W's. And ideally, wouldn't be pleasant for those that are buying here, but a little bit of a violent move that takes out that low and flips right back up again. And for me, that would be I won't use the word no-brainer in a counter trend trade, but pretty much a no-brainer as a long, and certainly for doing put spreads. When we see these retest and reversal patterns after a climactic move, they just tend to be no-brainers for a credit spread trade. So all that credit spread trade is, I don't think it's going down there in X amount of days. So those that don't use charts to determine that, it's the old saying, going to a gunfight with a butter knife, or just any kind of a knife. It's just foolish not to use the tool that puts the odds in your favor. All right. So Ethereum's doing the same, pretty much the same. It's inching its way down there. Not much going on. And let's see what bond market's doing. It's also marking time. Right? There was a breakdown. This market lately has just been plagued with whipsaws. And as I mentioned the other day, this was a good sell setup. You had multiple days. You had a move above the pivot high, and it closes under the, down here at the lows. And it even took out the low. And then it flips right back up again. Now, I know there was some news there, but it's a little bit of crazy price action. Spreading this out a little bit. The weekly is still a mess. So for me, it just means stay away. And yeah, let's just see what this still might go. I mentioned it earlier in the week, was pointed out to me when it was moving up like that. And so yesterday there was a flip-flop day back and forth, which means the dollar's flip-flopping back and forth. But these candle bodies so far in the context of the middle of that trading range on the wide range bar. So maybe it's just in development mode. The 65-minute is erratic. Most things are erratic here. And yeah, so waiting, a lot of waiting. This is a concern. Is the S&P going to be able to hold on to the gain? Well, financials here don't look too good. This rounding bottom here was supportive of, hey, you know what? That thing broke down, but it built an area of support, and maybe this can move up. And yesterday was a nasty down day, and this isn't gapping up more than halfway into the range. So I would suggest keeping an eye on some of these financials, because this could be some trigger that drags the S&Ps down. Yeah, I know there was the credit card thing, you know, but in any event, when we look at a broad market index like this, and we see, some stocks that are rolling over like that, and we saw, the what happened to Schwab the other day, that was pretty nasty. Um, so, you look at different stocks, that's holding up pretty well. Uh, Citicorp had a big nasty down day yesterday. That wasn't very good, even especially after it went up as it did. Then of course J.P. Morgan had a big nasty down day, so that isn't looking very good. Yeah, regionals have been on their own page, so to speak. Yeah. So what I mentioned earlier in the week and in the weekend letter, I can make an argument for the bullish case and look at things that are looking fantastic. And I can make an argument why this market has got troubles. So that's the way it is right now. And we'll see as things come together, as they always do, we'll get a clearer insight as to where we should go. Is it good for small caps? Well, you just look at IWM or what was that other one? The 600. What was that, Alex? You mentioned it the other day. You look at it now and then, IJ something, the 600, small cap index ETF. So far, WM's holding up over here. I don't remember what that sector ETF was. In any event, we just continue to monitor these different markets. Semiconductors came back strong. Yeah, IJR. Yeah. And so this one looks even better. So here, you're looking at this and you're like, everything looks amazing. You look over here and it's like, what the hell's going on over there? So, you gotta find what's money's going into and out of, and then apply your patterns. To you, Dan.
Good morning. It's amazing how well regionals are doing, like you guys are saying. A lot of earnings. I went through a bunch of them already. Look at alarms first, like I always do. Any things that this was earnings, I believe. But yeah, I think this was earnings. And so I had an alarm here at 43 under this 15-minute. Stocks that run up and that are climbos into earnings. My bias was to fade them, whether it opens up, down, or sideways. And now it's opening there. So that's a bearish gap. That's a beautiful. I mean, when I say day trade short, we got to wait in the first 30, 60 minutes for a setup. But call spread would be a great one. DTE, the 44 call spread. Thomas curve. This continuation pattern. Not crazy about the reward to risk. First swing though. Disney short. Yes, day trade. Well, that's not a quality sell setup because of the red green and big bars. But I would say target around 106, I don't know, about halfway mark. And you got a bearish 15. So day trade, sure. XLRE, we're long this in the ETF letter. And look at that, nice gap up. You know, we manage the ETF trades on longer time, so we got a full lot of this. Looks good. Bravo X-ray, another Climo making the turn. Up alarm went off. That'd be a great put spread, but it's too spready. Vic. I had a little up alarm here. We're in that. It's doing nothing. SLF alarm. This is, I don't know. This is not earnings. That is a bull little rectangle. I had an alarm up here. That just went off. Sun Life Canada. Okay. The Sun Life sounds like, well, it says financial services, but it sounds like an insurance company. Canada, I mean, you got insurance, okay. That's a powerful move, so unless you had a potent reversal coming out of a powerful 1, 2, 3 here, it's more of a day trade and call spread. BTU up alarm. This is one of our opens, nice gap. So Greg, you know, our conversation on stops. I moved it to yesterday's low, but just my historical bias would be 30-minute low, but
Not for an ETF trade.
no, this is a stock. BTU.
Well, the daily's not doing anything, Dan.
It's gapping
Just
up.
getting started.
What I don't know what you mean. I gave a first third target 39.50. I'm talking about where the stop should be. And I gave it yesterday's low.
That's fine.
Right. I'm just saying my past is it would be tighter. But that was our talk yesterday.
Okay, so and we could have this conversation in the room later at lunchtime, and I can explain why I wouldn't do that. But yeah, finish your pre-market review, and we'll talk about it at lunchtime.
Med PM watching. That was an earnings gap. Might look, my low alarm went off. So I'm just watching this stair step lower. Now I'll set a new alarm. 395. Up alarm 420. MU, we did a put spread yesterday. It's gapping up beautifully. Gapping up 15 bucks. So I tightened the stop down here and let's just bid a dime to get out. Even though it expires tomorrow. That's maybe 30-minute high. Daily's not a great pattern, but maybe a 30-minute high day trade. Mitzi, this is a beautiful gap reversal, 4 bullish consolidation days. I had an up alarm go off here, but I don't trust it since it's not liquid. Those are all the alarms. Here, pool, Alex mentioned yesterday. I like that. Closing breakout. Tap was a nice bull rectangle, but it already moved. CBRE, yeah, these things got killed. Another AI disaster going after them. Cushman and Wakefield. This looks fantastic now. But as this is a gold mining, Helga. Earnings 217, but buy setup, deep retracement, and it's rebuilt here. It's built a beautiful base. So that looks great. I wish earnings were further out, but we'll still trade it. I got an alarm at 23.70, I think. Let's go to earnings. I deleted a bunch already, so if you don't see it, tell me. There's my earnings. These are all leftover watch listings. Here we go. Oh, Rost here is on my list. Just a vanilla breakout watch. Here we go, earnings. Cisco, real company, big gap down to the 20 MA. So I got that in the window, the bottom right. One DTE put spread idea, 30-minute high. AUR. Excel set up a deep retracement over yesterday's high. Might go up to 480, but I got enough to watch. F-slide. $13. That's a 30-minute low call spread idea. APP getting whacked down $48. Three, but it has room to fall to that prior low, so I got nothing there yet. Yeah, ZTS Alex, this middle chart, I posted it pre-market, but I see that it gave up its strength. Same with Alfa Romeo. Gapped up, but yeah, forget about it now. ZTS. Yeah, when it was up here at 132, 4, 3, whatever, I posted that in Telegram as a long watch, but now 124. It's destroyed. I got no interest anymore. AM. I don't see where it's gapping, but if this does gap up a lot, like over $2, which is 10%, then call spread idea. Rawlings. Sam had a nice day trade on that yesterday. Got out ahead of earnings right now, 55. Wow, that's a big old gap. Let's watch that for a 30-minute high put spread. Hubs. It's ugly. Closing breakdown on volume into earnings. I got no interest in that. 935. So that's a bullish gap, but it's excessive to resistance. We gotta monitor it. This is garbage, but if it did, it's garbage. November, yeah, that's November Echo I mentioned for a call spread. Darden. Let's see, this is a grinder. This would not be a good gap and crapper because look at all these overlapping bars. Is support. This would be an inverse head and shoulder if it took out this right shoulder. I have an alarm at 11:20. 56. It's not a gap and crapper because yesterday's bar is a continuation bar, but it's an excessive gap. 30-minute low watch, 1 DT call spread, AX 104, possible excessive gap, kind of a pseudo kind of maybe exhaustion gap. I will put that in a window. My other computer. INSP 54, another monster gap lower. Here, look at this EQIX. They will be a gap and crap setup. Look at that, gapping up $130. Are you kidding me? That was a power move, though, from this buy setup. But let's watch that. I'm sure the spreads are going to be ludicrous, though. H is another earnings. Hilton, prior high, but I was watching it for a put spread idea. All right, Vic, up alarm, but nothing to do except reset the alarm. Set it at 78.30. I had an alert on 5. That's a continuation, little bull rectangle. Up alarm looks good. I'll reset my up alarm now to 20950. Diamond's the strongest, Q's the weakest. Netflix new low, Amazon new low. 15 minute. Hey, Greg, our GXO from yesterday. So now what now? Where do you want to move the stuff? You know where mine's going to be, but you're probably going to disagree with it. Alex, your pool is on rocking. Me, I'd put it under 61 based on 15 minute, a little bit more, and
You got
retrace.
you have a full out of it?
2/3.
Okay, so
Remember
just
we,
wait. It's probably going to chop around, form a 1, 2, 3. Let's just wait. Did you see the video?
Yep. Yep.
Well, we had the idea yesterday, but it hit the 190, but now it's a, restart. We'll see what it does now if it comes back down.
Let's set new alarms here, 6550 and 63.
Meta's still shaping up too early.
I posted 2 trades pre-market already, put spread and directional.
For Meta?
Yeah. I posted put spread, what's today, Thursday? I put spread over Tuesday's high and directional over the entire week's high.
Okay.
Yeah, if Mo closes like that. Yeah, strong. Extended on the weekly, but strong.
I put an alert on SMH. If it comes back down into yesterday's range, should be able to do a call spread. Maybe
Ross,
it comes down to 415.
here, Pacey, darn it. I said gap and snapper. That's rocking. I'm sure there's going to be no premium. This BTU that gapped up.
You see the way Apple's coming down? That could be a call spread, Dan.
He typically has no juice, particularly over yesterday's high, unless you went out to next week. But for one DTE, absolutely. But I, with 98% certainty, there's going to be no juice at 280. But I can even track 277. Yeah, Netflix, yeah, Apple, Amazon, all ugly 15s. It's a 280s, 17 cents. 277 is only 44. So you're not going to get a good credit. ATEX alarm. I think that was earnings. So that's a bear gap that bullies. That's Ameritax. Let's watch that. EQYX, look at middle chart. It is still going. Cisco bottom right. No turn yet. Aluminum. That's sloppy. It's it feels like you're swimming upstream, Thomas. This is bullish consolidation, but I don't think it's going to 9. I think max is gap fill, 845, 850. There's just so many better patterns than that. Yeah, low. Look at that beautiful breakout on Tuesday. Yeah, our Home Depot alarm went off. We're in this. Nice. I was nervous yesterday. Darden, low alarm, call spread idea. Arm. Oh, Greg, look, remember arm? I gave a 130 target. Nice, look at that. That was a damn good target. It went to 130 spot 90. Nice. But tell me